Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I plan on colouring this page this evening, and I thought why not film some of the process. So I'll do one of the flowers and show you how I use the Albrecht Durer Watercolour Pencils. And Isabel starts talking. It is in Hanna Karlzon's, I can't pronounce this book, but it's one of her colouring books. It's that one. I don't think it's the newest one. I don't believe. I'm sure it's not. I've just put my daughter to bed and she's clearly very happy about it. I need to sharpen this actually as well. So I've got cadmium yellow 107. I will meet the camera. You still see it, but I'll meet the camera. Cadmium yellow 107, and then was it scarlet? Yeah, deep scarlet red 219. Now I did initially want to do them orange, but I think that they'd match the goldfish too much. So I do use my Helix crank sharpener when using these pencils, because I adore them and I don't want them to get eaten away. I don't want them to get eaten away. So I think what I might do these two. That should be a bit better of a view for you. So this is what I did with the fish and the apples, basically. Now I know that you can do it a different way, but this is the way that I've found that it works for me. I tend to do one layer and then I'll go over with my darker shade once it's dry. It's just that's the way that I like to do it. I have tried blending the colours together when they're both wet, and I can't get the hang of it. I can't get the hang of it, even though I love watercolour. For some reason I just can't figure out these pencils, so this is the way that it works best for me. This is my favourite yellow, and it is the shortest yellow that I've got, so I do need to remember to, whenever I'm in the art store, to pick one or two of these up. I wouldn't like to run out. I think the lighter shade is the shades of yellow, but that's the light yellow glaze. It's got a bit of like a greeny tone almost. Cadmium yellow lemon as well. That's got like almost like a green hue to it. So now I'm going to be smart about this, because I was going to activate it and then move over to that side. So instead of doing that, I'll do that one, activate it, and then move over to this one, so there's no risk of them touching. So I was using an aqua brush. I always like using an aqua brush with Albrecht Durers. Again, don't know why, I just can't seem to figure watercolour brushes out with these pencils. So I just use what works for me. I'm not using tons and tons of water, because that's when it'll make your page buckle. So just a little bit, just enough to activate the colour. I think these pencils are too beautiful not to activate, even though they are quite pigmented before you put anything on. Should I have done the centre? Yes, probably. So pop a little bit of that on there. Just activate that. And then move over to this one. I'd say I'm using medium pressure here just to get a good amount of the pigment down, just so I'm not having to go over with layer upon layer. Oh, she's finally asleep. She's finally asleep. I can amuse an eye. Very busy day in school. So I get a good layer of that colour down. Now it's still a little bit damp, so I'll have to leave it and be a bit patient with that one. What I might actually do to shade the centre is actually pick an orange shade, just so the centre is sticking out a little bit more, so it stands out a bit better. Now if you were curious for the background on this one, I'm going to use just straight up acrylic paint and then do some sort of effect. I've not decided what yet. I've not decided what, but it will take me quite some time because of all the little details everywhere. In hindsight, I probably should have pulled my heat gun out, so I will be patient and let this dry in real time, but for you it'll just be a second. That should be completely dry now, and I've just noticed gone out the line, that mega there, so it's a good job it's on that leaf, so I'll be able to hide that. I'll just let it dry in for 5 minutes. Now with the darker shade, I'm pulling it up from the centre. I mean, you could do it the opposite way around. And the orange, I think I'll go with orange glaze for the very centre. Now, as well as going from the centre, I'm going to have to do a bit of shading as well up here, I think. Otherwise it'll just look a bit odd. Just a tad, and then I'll blend that out with the water in a minute. So it looks like a harsh line, but it won't once it's blended out. What I love about these pencils, they're just really easy to use. I prefer these over the Caran d'Ache Aqua Museum pencils. And don't quote me, but is there more colours in this one? In this set than that? I'm not sure. So the very centre, it was that orange glaze. Right, start activating that now. The leaves, I'm not sure whether to go like a traditional green colour or maybe a turquoise. I think the turquoise will look nicer with the oranges and yellows we've got going on. So I want to start from the outside, because if I start right there and pull the colour up, the orange is going to go where I don't want it to go. So I might have to turn my book in a minute as well to do this, otherwise my wrists won't be happy with me. But you can see how it's kept that area really light. So you start off with your clean water in the lightest area, or the area you want it to be lightest, and then start activating it. Clean the brush off. Just like that, it's easy peasy. I'm going to bring you in a little bit more, I think. There we go. That should be better. So starting off from the lightest area and then pushing the colour up. If you think you've got too much on your brush, just wipe it off. And the same with this area. It'll be a little bit more difficult here because there's not much of the yellow showing, but that's not too bad. Might add a bit of that spur pigment there. I just love the way it looks. And it's so easy to do. I will try and attempt to do this like sideways. So sorry wrist. So starting off with the lightest area and then pushing the colour back. But because you've activated it with the clean water, it'll sort of bleed and do its own thing. To clean up the edges. Take off that excess water. And the same thing with the middle. And activate it. Clean off my brush completely. And then just go around like that. Easy peasy. So the exact same thing with this side. So it was the deep scarlet red. the same thing on this flower. See how messy I'm being though, and it's really forgiving. And the orange shade right in the centre. Start activating that now. Now I'm constantly dipping into the clean water and wiping it off on my cloth here, just to keep from the colours mixing together too much. See how I've gone over the orange bit a little bit there, so push that back. Clean water again. And pushing the colour back where I want it to be the darkest. Cleaning it off my brush. It's a really simple technique, but I think it's very effective. Clean water. And this is the exact same thing that I've done with the rest of the illustration. Just two colours on the fish, and I think there was 3 different reds on the apples. Wipe off the excess. And that is it. So that is how I use my Albrecht Durer watercolour pencils. Really simple, and it's quick to do. That's what I love about these pencils, and it does give that watercolour painterly effect to your colouring pages. You could, if you wanted to, go over the top of this and add a little bit more shading if you felt you needed to, but just make sure that your paper's dry before that you do that. So if you did enjoy this video, then please do leave me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!